Hello, thank you for joining us. We still have a few minutes to start, so please hang in there. All right, I'm trying to zoom it in so that we can see clearly. And this is better. And I hope you can hear me. Okay, I hope you can hear me. So we will start. And thank you. Although one person showed up earlier and then left, this is a recorded live streaming, so you will still watch it at your convenience. But what we want to do today is just show you how to get started in GT and gtExtras or packages. And gtExtras was built on top of GT. So we will start with GT, which is the main package. And then GT Extras is where we will add some touch up um, or touches to our data table to make it elegant or look beautiful. So I'm sharing my screen now. I'm in our studio and I'm sharing my screen. I always like to start from the scratch, which might not be the best way to go about it, but it is good for those who are new to R and R studio to get it started from the scratch so that you see how you begin your project or data science project in R studio. Although I'm not going to show you everything, we assume that you have some basic understanding of R and R studio and then data analysis, because I'm going to do some data wrangling before we tabulate the data. But we will not go deep into what goes on behind the scene when we are doing data wrangling. We assume you already know that. So let's see. First, in our studio, if we were to create a project, it is advised you always create a project, a new project. You can create a project by coming here, choose new project, or you can come to file and then say new project. And then you create it from there. Today, we are not going to use a project. I'm just going to work inside the R Studio, which is not the best way to go about it because creating a project folder is going to enable you to work within that folder so that everything, the folders, the data files would be accessible within that folder. If you when you work generally within our studio without setting up, like let's say on your desktop or home directory, then you will have difficulty trying to find where you have stored your data. So but for this project, in this tutorial, I'm just going to do it this way. So what we need to do first is to open the quarter data document. We could do R Markdown, but Quarto is the next generation of R Studio. So it's no, not R Studio, sorry, R Markdown. So it is replacing R Markdown. Posit, the former R Studio company, uh, says that they will not discontinue R Markdown. It's still going to be there because a lot of people are still using it, but they will not be adding newer features to R Markdown. Those newer features are what are included in Quarto, and Quarto is a robust, uh, excellent uh, tool for documenting or writing anything from doing data science coding or writing documents for communicating your results and so on. So let's click on here to open it. And then we can give it a title. So just we can say getting started with the extras. Author name, you can put your name, it's optional. You can leave it and then you put it afterward, or you can put it now. Here we are needing the engine is the need R, which means we are going to use R in the background for our data analysis or cleaning transformation. We could set our document as a PDF or Word document, but here we are just going to leave it as an HTML document. If we want to use Jupyter Notebook Python strictly, then we could choose Jupyter. Need R with reticulate package allow us to use both R and Python in one document, like simultaneously. But that's not what we are going to do because we are only focusing on R language today or programming. So this is the document. So this is where we do. This is the source where we do the write our script or code. And I can add other things here. I can add the date. I can add everything else like that is important. I can add the subtitle and some other formatting that could be added here. That's what makes Quattro to be an excellent tool for data science. So when you open it, it is already a template that has been set up to guide you for those who are new to our studio and Quadro, but what we can do is just delete everything so that we start from the scratch. And those who, if you know R Markdown or if you know Markdown, then you can add heading one by doing 1 pound or two for heading two and so on. So here we are going to say loading packages for libraries because we are going to load libraries that we are going to use. First, we will load the tidyverse, which has 9 packages, and then we will load GT and gtExtras. Good thing about the Quattro here, we can work within the source like this, or we can use the visual editor. Visual editor is really good because here I can come here instead of going up here to select R uh, or code chunk, I can just press the forward slash. This is going to give me a drop down. We are looking for R, so I'll just choose the first one if we were using Julia, which is another programming language that is used for data science, or Python, or if we were just writing like division in HTML and so on, then all these are down in here. But how interesting this? So this makes it uh, seamless because I can just press the forward slash enter and then I have my code chunk. So what we are doing is loading packages, and in R, the way you load a package or a library is you type library and then type the name of your package. And autocomplete is just gonna give you a suggestion. Here is tidyverse, and then I'm gonna click next. I'm gonna go outside that parenthesis and click next, and then because we need extra packages, the next package is the GT, and then the next one is gtExtras. See, I'm just typing like that and it knows what I'm looking for. Okay, we can click next to each of these and then click run to load them. Run. I'm doing return key, control return. On Mac is command return key. On PC, just control return key. And then do it like that. Remember when I loaded the tidyverse, it printed out some information telling us the packages included and their versions, and then the information about conflicts, Like here, the filter from deploy or conflicts with filter from stat package and so on. We can suppress this message by coming here, and this is the beauty of Quadro. Just pound and then shift and then the key above the return key, which is the vertical line, and put a little bit of a space and then type message. And it's giving us a suggestion we want the message to be forwarded to this various warnings that you may see there. And then we can click the play button to run all, and now we are not seeing that message. The other way you can do this is highlight all of this and then do control return or command return key, and that's gonna load the packages. Once we are done loading the packages, we can now load our data. And but before we go there, actually let's load the data. And I have two, maybe three data sets that I would like to use. I didn't find like the best data that I can use for this tutorial. The data sets, for example, that I use on my work have a lot of options, a lot of issues that I have to use GT and gtExtras to address. But I will try my best to highlight the most important functions in GT and gtExtras. To load the data, it's good also to suppress messages here. So when you click to go to the next line, it's going to add another uh, option for you. But if you don't want to add another option, then you can click next again. Then that's going to get rid of that. And the data, actually, what I want to do, the data that we will do first, like what I did yesterday that I shared on Facebook, is the New York City flight data. So this is a package. And then we will say flights NYC. Yep, flight flights 13, and then load it. This year has information about flights in 2013. We can see if we type, let's say, airlines. This data sets have already been loaded, and then we see this is the information about airlines, that is their carrier, to uh, the carrier code, which is like two digit. It could be a digit plus a letter or both letters, and then the name of the airlines. And then the other one is the flight information. And this year shows the year, which is 2013 month of where the flight took place, and then the day, departure time, scheduled depart time, delayed departure delay. So this flight year first was scheduled at 5:15, but it departed at 5:17, so it was delayed for 2 minutes. And then there is arrival time, and then delayed, delayed or arrival delay time, and so on. So we will look at the delay, the depart delay, and the arrive delay. That is the departure delays and arrival delays, just to demonstrate what we are trying to do, the task that we are going to do, show here, like tabulating data. You can also learn about this data or package. If you have a question, you can just, if you want to learn about this, you can just say this and then say, so this is the package. And then we do this one, and then we say headlines. You see there are planes, there's weather information, there are information about the airports and so on. So if we want to learn more about flights, then we can do this. And then now we can read more about this data, flights data here. We can also go online and check it out. But this is one way that you learn about something that you don't know in R within our studio. So let's look at our data. So we want the flights. Just gonna table at the end to distinguish it from the original data set. So the assignment operator in R for those who are new to R. And then I'm using native pipe, which is the base R pipe, which is what the R Studio, former R Studio posted now recommends. It's intuitive because you don't have to load it to be able to use it because it's base R, it is already within R Studio when you are running it. So unlike the deploy R pipe, you have to install the deploy R to be able to use it. And then so we have said that we are going to select only column the delays. And the way we can look at this is we can use the glimpse function, then flights. But before doing that, let us join. We're gonna add the headlines names to this data set. Instead of using codes, we will use the names. We will use a left join and then headlines. And if we run it like this, let's see what we are getting. So, yep, we are getting the names here. And what R has done, if we don't put, let's say we turn this one to be true, so that we see what R has done here. And this is what was suppressed when we set the message equal false. So R look at both data sets, flights data and airlines data set, and found a common column and used that column to join these two data sets. And so let's see. Carrier is what RS identify as common column and then use it to join our data set. But we can be explicit by saying, okay, we want to join by. So this is the new way of using like joining. Before you could just say by is equal, but now this is the new way of using the join. So join by, and then it is just one column, which is carrier, and write this message here. When we do that, we don't see that message because we have explicitly told R how to join or join how to combine these two data sets. So it's good always to it's good to add the comment about what you are doing, but I'm not going to do that because that's going to take time. And then now that we have our names, so let's use the glimpse function to look at the data set again. So flat, and this one of the people. So these are the column. We need the name column. We could choose the year column. Um, no, the hour, time, hour, or we can take year and month and combine those. Or actually, since we are going to shorten this, make this data short, we are going to group by year, name of the airlines, and so on. So the columns we want will be the name of the airlines, and then year column. We could have also added month, and then we need depart delay. We need arrive delay. These are the only columns that we need. Now I'm using the select function, and see I'm getting the error message saying object name not found. And the reason it's saying this is because I forgot to add a pipe at the end here. So that was just hanging. Now we have our data set filtered out by year. We have just pulled out 4 columns. And why we are doing this is just to look at the annual 20, like average 2013 delay, like whether it's a departure delay or arrival delay. And so previously we could use a group by, but now the new way of grouping the data is you say summarized, and then the columns that you want and then it's delay. We want to see if there are NAs, then we want them to be excluded. If we don't exclude them, then we will get NA. So we say true. Let's see, so in order this capital letters, the next one is the average arrival delays, and then arrival delay, and move NAs. And then now we tell R how we want it to group it by. So we say dot by, and this is the new way to group it. And we have said that we are going to group by year and name. So name, we need to use the function C, and then year. I will run this, control enter, or command return key or enter. And now this is what we have. We have 16 rows, 16 airlines, and we have our 2 columns. The year column is not important to us because it adds no value. It's just there because we have already summarized our data. We can do some cleaning, see how it says Inc. here. So United Airlines Incorporated. So we are going to remove those. Not that it's important, but just to show you additional steps in data cleaning. So we could come up here before we do the selection or after we did the selection. So we use a mutate function and we look at the column. The column is the name. I'm going to do it in a different way. So I'm going to use this function from string R, remove all, and then we give it the string, which is the name column, and then inside parentheses, we put what we want to remove. There is a space before it, so it's good to add a space. Or I like using double quotations, and then everything else, then I can use the single quote. In Python, I do the way around. I use single quotes, and then everything else I use double quotation. So just a personal preference. There is something else that we need to remove, which is here co, and we need to remove it with a space. We will also remove this corporation here. Not that it's gonna hurt anything, but it's just to show you that you can clean your data up like this. So we are telling R that, okay, look inside the name column, and if you see these uh, buttons here, remove them. Then we are going to control enter. We come back, and let me do this to make sure. Let me pipe it in so that we look at everything at once. Oops, something is not, so something is wrong. It's telling me unexpected parentheses. So I put the pipe in the wrong place. It's supposed to go outside here. And then now we look at our data set, and then we see we have removed those. So this here didn't remove the whole thing. And let's see why I didn't remove the whole thing. So let's say, oh, I see now. So what it has done, because we said that it has removed the and left this operation. So let's say we want to drop this. Let's see if this is going to take care of that. Yeah, that took care of that. Now our data is clean. We want to tabulate it. And so to do the tabulation, what I will do, I'll show you, I'll go online first. So let's look at gtR package. This is the website. They have some examples. They are also showing us. So these are the extension to GT package. This is gsummary, which is used mostly in clinical trials. And then gtExtras, which is used for making the tables look beautiful, elegant, and so on. I have not seen this one before, use it, and then this other one, and GTO. I haven't seen these. I think maybe they are relatively new, but I mostly use the GT extras and then GT itself. Those are applicable to my work, and that's why I use them. And these are the people who are in charge of developing this package. So you will see that it's going to show you some examples. And then you can click on introduction, which is the intro, and then it will show you this and articles reference, and then they will give you more examples like this, how to use these functions. You can click on a function and see how to use, like for example, tab underscore footnote for adding footnote, and then they will show you how it is used. You scroll down, and then they will show you example of how they have applied it, and this is the footnote here. While we are here, let's also look at gtExtras page, and this is the gtExtras. It's a beautiful package, and so it's developed by Thomas Mark, great guy, and these are some of the things that we are going to learn how to or going to learn today. You can highlight rows, you can highlight columns, and so on. There are some things that are there like these that may not be applicable. We are not going to talk about things like this. We are just going to talk about the core features or functions that are used for routine tasks. Because there are things that are important, especially when you are doing communicating your data science results. Not everything would be important, but there are things that you can do for personal, as like in personal project, that you will use a lot of the information here. Okay, so that's it about those packages. Now let's come back here. We have our data. Our data is ready. It has 4 columns. We have said we are not, this is not that important, the year column, because we have already used it. So we will come down, we will create another code chunk here. Let's say tabulate the data. And maybe we will name it fly, fly, flies object. So to add the assignment operator, you can do the option and then dash or underscore on Mac, or it is alt dash or underscore on PC. And the data set is the flights people, and we pipe it in to GT. So now we have created a GT object. That's why I'm calling flies flights object. And all we have to do is just control enter and then enter again, and then we have our table here. And this table, so let me, if you do this, the up arrow and then run it again, you can come here and then zoom it, and you can look at the table here. Okay, and then so now this table doesn't look that good, but it is a start. So what do we do? I usually like to add, like instead of having the year as a column, which doesn't look good. So what I will do, there is an option inside here. We can do the row name underscore called, and this is what it's going to do. But we will use the group name underscore call because we are grouping by year. So we will say year. Let's see this one here. So that didn't do. To 1 year or name. Yeah, I think it's year. Oh, see, I'm looking at the year as a digit here, but the column name is year. So you put it inside quotation and then the column name. That's why I didn't do it. And then now we have just pull it out and pull it above all these because these are under the 2013. So that is one thing. We want to group it by a column and then we put it there. Put the year or the column name inside the quotation after group name underscore called. Could have also used the row. And then there are other things that we want to do. First thing, we can align the column values. I usually like to align the names like this column, the name column like these airlines. I like to right align them. It doesn't matter how you do it. Now they are left aligned. You can put them in the center, but that won't look good. So I rather leave them left aligned or make them right aligned. That is uh, what you prefer. So the way we do it is there's a function called calls underscore align, and inside you can see there is an option for alignment where if you leave it auto, it's going to be left line. So it's auto, left, centered, or right. By default, it's left aligned. And then the columns, here it's saying all columns, but we don't want to right align all columns. Always like to come down to the next line, and then we will say columns, just the first column or name that we want to right align, and then align inside quotations, we will say right. Let's run it, and now this been right aligned. And then, so let's look at the table again. And the next thing we see, we have these trailing decimal values. It's always good to trim them down. So we'll trim them down to just two decimal places. Also, these values here are centered. No, they are not centered. They are right aligned. So what we will do first is let's format them. We will come back to the alignment, but let's put tail R to make them, or GT to give us only two decimal places. So the way we do that, that's FTM, the format underscore, but here we are dealing with numbers. So we just say number. Again, we will give it the columns that we are interested in, and the columns will be, we can put the names of the columns or their position, the indices. So it's column number 3 and 4. Remember, we have only 4 columns, and I can use the interval like this. I can also use the C function and separate them by space, by comma like that. Doesn't matter. Just as a shorthand, you can just use column. And then now decimal, decimals we want to. There are other options, but those are not important. This is what is important to us. And then we run our data, and then now we see this has been transformed. The values have been transformed to just two decimal places. Another thing I like about leaving it as by default alignment is, you see, this is 4 digits, 10.55, and then this is 3.78. So these have been appropriately aligned because this is in the ones position and it's under 0. But if we want to center align them, then what we can do is come back up here and then say calls align. Make sure we add a pipe and go down with say columns. It's going to be 3 to 4. And then how do we want to align them? We want to center align them. And then now we run the data and we see these here have been center aligned. I'm gonna comment it out because like I said, I like the way the values have been aligned by default. So just comment that out. And then the next thing we need to do, these names here do not look right. So we want to kind of clean it up, clean the names up. And the way we clean the names up or clean up the names of the column names is by using the function calls lab, that is column level. You put in the current name and then how you want to call it. So name is good as name, but maybe we need to say name. Let me use lowercase, name of the airlines. And then this average departure delay, we will say average, we will spell it out. Departure. And then the last one, this is a smaller data, so we only have to worry about 3 columns. In the light data set, you may have like 20 or more. Arrival delay. Now let's run it and see what we have done. Sorry. So click anywhere and then run it. Run it, and now these are too long, but we have cleaned them up. Now they look presentable. But it's not good to have them like this because this is going to make your table look huge, like too big, too wide. And this is where gtExtras come in. But before we go there, or let's go there, what we will do, we will use the HTML. So we will write these using HTML so that this is GT. So we want to write them as HTML so that we can put a break to break this into several lines. Like the name as it is to be its own line. I like of to be its own line. It doesn't matter what I'm just putting. And then I think that should be good like that. So let's run it and see what we have done. And now you see it has been trunked to occupy just a reasonable amount of space instead of being spread out wide. So let's do the same thing with these other columns. We will put 2 breaks. And then here, oh sorry, it's GT colon HTML. That's the shorthand of calling that. Then GT colon HTML. We need 2 breaks. Now let's run it and see. See, now instead of the table occupying this space, it's now shrunk into a reasonable size. And this is good. It's looking better. See, this here is right aligned. So because the column values are right aligned, the column name is also right aligned. The same here. We center align the last 2 columns So comment this out. The way you comment them out is Control Shift C, and then to comment them out and comment them, do the same thing, Control Shift C. And then let's see. And now these have been centered aligned. So this is looking good, but it's not that good yet. It is good because we want smaller delays. We don't want to stay at the airport for a longer time, like waiting or have our flight delayed for a long hours. These are minutes. So a negative here, a negative delay means the the plane left before the scheduled departure time. Oh no, the plane arrived before the scheduled arrival time, which is a good thing. So we will color code to say that okay, less minutes are good, higher number of minutes is not good. We will color code that. But first thing we need to do, let's put let's put dividers. We want to separate the airlines names from the rest of the columns. To do it, there's a function from gtExtras, which is gtadd divider. Before this function, you would do tab style, and then you would do a lot of writing in there, border cells, yeah, cell border, and then you say the side of the border. So let me do this first. So we need the columns. So let's say columns. Let's see. Okay. Okay, so color, we want a color, we want a style, we want, so sides, we would say right side. And then we come outside here and say location. This is gonna be cell and body. So when we are using the tab underscore style, we have different options, a lot of options here, but the most important one is the borders, the cell underscore borders, where we say the side we want to put it, we want the if it's solid and so on, and then the location where we want those dividers to be added. So we say columns, and then let's say I can say column one and three, since we are putting them on the right side. And I comment this out. And now we have the borders here. We have the dividers. And then what we can do, we can come inside here and say, okay, weight, the thickness of the line. We can do 1.5 or we can do 2. Let's say, what if we do 3? Just to see how big these borders dividers are. So 3 is too big. So what are you gonna do is 1.5, and then I always like to add color. Is I like dark gray. The gray here blends in well because this is dark gray and this blends in well. So this is one way we add the dividers so that we separate columns from each other. And now, so but gtExtras makes this to be straightforward, just a short function. So I'll comment that out and comment this. Add divider. So you can click the tab key on your keyboard to see the options in there. So we have columns. Again, the columns we want are 1 and 3 because we are putting the dividers on the right side. And then again, tab side where we want to put the dividers. And then color, weight, and so color we can do the same thing. Can do dark gray. I like to go to the next line so that it's clear and easily read it. And then the next one is going to be weight. Weight, you do the pixel and then 1.5. And let's see, and then this. So good thing about the gtExtras function gt underscore add divider is that it also includes the columns. So if you want also to extend the dividers to the column names, then you can do that. But there is an option where you can suppress that. So include underscore labels, you can set it to false, and then that's going to exclude the label, the column labels like that. So it depends on what you like. Let's leave it there. So I'm going to put back by default is true. So let's leave it as true for now. And we are almost done. So what is the next one? So let's look at our table. So our table is missing a title. We always need a title. And then what else? Yeah, we will probably show you how to add a footnote. Source note can also be added. And then the color coding. So color coding, there are several ways you can do color coding. But the easiest way from GT is data color. Data color, you want to give it columns. So we say, sorry, columns. Again, it's column 3, 3 and 4. And then the rows, all rows, direction, method, palette, which are the colors we want to use, and then the domain. So let's say colors we want green and we want red, because longer delays will be assigned red colors, and then shorter delays or arrival before the arrival time will be assigned green, and then the colors in between, the numbers in between will have different colors. And then, so let's try running this and see what will happen. Now, this is what we have. So this is really good. This is red. So 20 minutes uh, delay, like departure delay and also arrival delay. That's too much. But -9 or -10 minutes arrival delay, that is the plane arrived before the scheduled time. So this is good. It's going to tell the readers to see exactly what these are. They stand out. So that's one thing. There are other things we could include, other options. For example, method. And method, we can say numeric. As you can see, I just left it out and it worked. We can also add a domain, and domain is where we tell like what are the limits, the cutoff numbers. But depending on your data set, some of these options may not be necessary. So this is the beauty of this uh, function here. Before we use the tab underscore style, and then you style up. And from my work, we used to have a long code or long lines of code styling different columns. But now gtExtras and GT itself have been improved tremendously to the extent that the work that we do um, has been reduced. The amount of work we put in has been reduced. So thanks to the developers. And then so we look at our table and we have added color coding. So we are almost done. The next thing we want to do is to add our title. So to add a title, you do the tab underscore header. And inside header, there are these title, subtitle, pre and so on, but mostly just title. And we will call this average 2013 New York City flights, flight delays in minutes by airlines. Let's run it. And again, this is a little bit too long because I don't like this large space here. This is this large space. So we will do something about it. And it's something we will do about it just to use the, excuse me, we will add breaks, line breaks. Let's put a line break here. So this goes on to a second line. Control the table width. I like it this way. And then maybe that's too much. Maybe that's too much. So let me take it out of there. Maybe bring it here. Okay, that's better. But again, there's a space here which I don't like. Well, we'll leave it like that. And then you see the names when we change the names here. When we change the names here, we left the first column we use underscore. So let me put everything on lowercase. Let me put everything in lowercase. So all the columns are now lowercase. So what I would like to do now, there's a function there are themes, GT themes from gtExtras. And you call them by just saying GT and then themes. There are a lot of them here. So the first one is this themes 538. Let's try that and see how it looks. What it look like. So you see, it's good, but I don't like that theme. So let's try another one. Maybe duck, theme underscore duck. It's gonna make the table tab like a duck background. The theme that I use a lot is the ESPN. And now I like this one. What it has done by default, it left aligns the title, and then it capitalizes the column labels or column names. And I like this. This is the theme that I use at work. I like it, or a lot in whatever I do when I tabulate the data. So let me comment out this, no, the center alignment of the column values. And these have been right aligned. Everything is right aligned. The only beauty of being right aligned here is that the digits are placed appropriately, but it doesn't look good because the table is just way to the right throughout. So I will undo this. Let me try something. So options. Okay, so option underscore align underscore table header. We want to center. So let's go inside here, aligned, and we want to center the title, and we can do it using this option here. Now it's centered. If we want to right align it, then we can right align it like that. That's right align. I always like to keep the default setting left aligned. And so basically, these are the most important features that I use a lot at work. There are other features that I use, for example, sub values, sub underscore missing. If you have NAs, then you can add sub underscore missing, and then whatever is missing, you can add how you want to call those, represent those. You can use the dash. You can use dash like this, or you can just leave it blank, or put in another word, or write missing, and so on. But this function underscore values is used for substituting the values. So let's say we don't we this was a mistake. This -9 was a mistake. It wasn't -9. It is actually, let's say, maybe 99.3 minutes. Then what we can do is we can say column, or actually we can just say value, let's try that. Let's say base, actually just say replacement. What do we want to replace it with? Let's say 99.3. Let's try this. Okay, so that didn't work. No. That didn't work. Let's say patent. Okay. Okay, so that didn't want to do it. That didn't do it. So let me see. Okay, that didn't work. So let me just leave that. But this function is there for substituting the values. I'm going to comment it out. Let me see if there is something else that I would like to talk about. Yeah. So if we wanted to add a footnote, then we do tabbed footnote. And then the footnote itself is the message that we want to put in there. So let's say beautiful GT table. I can leave it like this without adding the locations or placement. So we can just add it like that. And then when we come down, it has been added here. Now, depending on what you want to tell, like if you want to show that these values are in minutes, then you can add a footnote and say these values are in minute. And that way you will add column, this column, that column, and it will put numbers on top. Like you can put like 1, 2, or so, and so on. And it does it differently. But usually when I put the footnote, I just put it without adding the location. And see what other. Yeah, let's say we wanted to add additional message. So let's say we want to add another message here. Let's say HTML. We can call this we can call it a subtitle, but I'm not going to specify it. I'm just going to say add a message here. And let's say we want it to be a paragraph. And then let's say maybe say table, this table displays 15 minutes. Delays with a higher number of minutes are highlighted in red, while those with a lower number of minutes are highlighted in green. So we have this here. Again, it's long, it's going all the way, it's making the table to be long. So I'm going to add a break, but I would like to add a color coding to show those that are in red and those that are in green. So first thing we need to do is add a break, a line break here. And then I would like to highlight higher numbers. So here we're going to add a span, and then at the end, I don't want to highlight everything. Maybe put at the end here, span. And then inside the span here, we're going to add a style. This is HTML. And then inside we add a color, column, then red, then semicolon. Then we just run it to see if that works. And now this is it. So this is the table. And put it here, except that the color is not red but green. And need to close that space. And then at the end here, we add a span. Let me reduce, remove this space. And now this is it, but I see that the paragraph here is didn't work well. I think I left out the opening. Yep, and now this is it. So this is the table, and this took over an hour. So I think we will stop here. Maybe I will look for a different data set that will give us more options to demonstrate how functions of GT and gtExtras. But this is the beauty of gtExtras and on top of GT. Now this table is elegant. We can open it up here, and then now you can see it. You can save this with GT save, or usually I just screenshot it and then drop it in the document. So this is it. This is what I wanted to show you today, how to get started in GT. What we have done, we briefly clean the data. It's just a straightforward data set. And then we build, so the way you start your canvas or create a GT object is just by calling the GT function. But GT function has options that you can include, for example, group name underscore, when you put the column that you would like to group it, your data by. This is, let's say, for example, I work in healthcare, so when I'm doing my work, I group it by hospitals, or we can group it by measures, uh, we can group it by divisions, and so on. So that is good there. Or you can do the row name underscore, and then group it also by rows. Then you can align column values using the calls underscore aligned. You can format column values, the numerical column values using the FMT underscore number, or there's another one underscore integer when you are dealing with integers. You can modify column names by calling calls underscore lab, and then you can use the gtExtras to implement or write those as HTML so that you add spaces. You can add color coding, the borders, the bound that borders or dividers using the gt tab underscore style function, or you can use the gtExtras gt underscore add divider. And each has a lot of options, so let's suppress this. We don't want to include that in the column names. And then you can add color coding by just using the data underscore color, or you can use the tab underscore style. And there are other functions that you can use to add color background or color coding to your data. You add a theme to make your table look elegant or presentable. And then you can add a tab, footnote, or you can also add uh, source information, source note by doing tab underscore source note and so on. There are a lot of, this is a large package, or these are large packages, especially the base package, which is GT is large, and it depends on what you are using it for. Basically, this is the basic use of GT package. I hope you will find this tutorial beneficial. Please let us know if there are topics that you are interested in that you would like us to do tutorial on, or if you have any questions. Also, let us know in the comment section if there is something that we didn't say correctly or didn't do correctly, or if there are optimal ways that you tabulate data using GT. Thank you. Talk to you next time. Bye.